Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the Car Biz Chronicles. Can you believe it? It's almost over. I cannot, to be honest with you. This has been so much fun. The episodes have been so insightful. I love when I'm able to learn things that in my time in dealerships I wasn't the best at or that much around, I guess would be the way to say it. And this is one of those episodes. I am joined by none other than Herb Anderson and Erik Nelson, the Viking himself. These guys were awesome. Erik's energy, if you guys have ever met him, meet him, it's through the roof. It really is through the roof. He makes it really easy to do the job of trying to get the best out of someone because he always brings the A game. And then Herb, just an absolute craftsman of the fixed ops world, really understands it well, inside and out, really brings that value to the show. You put those two guys together, between the three of us, I mean, we're talking 40 plus years, almost 50 years of experience. There was a lot going on, a lot of energy. We shot it while in Vegas and we were at Rockstar Automotive Conference. These guys came down from Utah, not only to see the show at Rockstar, but actually just to be a part of the Chronicles. So I want to thank them once again for their time. And I got to tell you, if you love high energy people, and more so love fixed ops, this episode is absolutely for you. So sit back, enjoy, and let us know what you think, as always. Thanks a lot. Welcome, everybody. Sean Welsh once again coming to you for the Car Biz Chronicles live from Las Vegas here in the Bellagio. We are excited. I am joined by a couple of guys who are in this neck of the woods. They live here. They love it. To my left, we have Herb Anderson. Herb, please tell the folks what you do.
Yeah, so I'm an account executive for GSM, and basically what we do there is owner communication platforms. It's all about building retention strategies that are going to be long-term, to help the dealer communicate with the customer in the different cycles, if you will, of the ownership journey.
Love it. I love it. And to my right, we are joined by Erik Nelson, which I just want to refer to you as the Viking.
Can we please do so, okay? Now listen, I'm Erik Nelson. I am the Viking. It's all right if you refer to me as the Viking, but I want to let it be known that Herb Anderson actually does a fantastic job. I think that needs to be said. I'm actually the finance guy for a small dealership about that. Well, probably that big right there. A small little dealership, Bradshaw Chevrolet. And I've been doing this deal since 1999, bro.
Me and
you
bro,
said 98,
98 for a while.
Oh my gosh, it was like a flashback.
Yeah,
it was a big deal, dude.
Right.
It was a big deal.
I know, but 99 was a good time. So, well, thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I think the biggest thing that I want to really get out right away is when we talk about fixed ops, you guys deal in communication with those owners. What is the biggest fall down that you see from a dealership perspective as it relates to the post-sale communication?
Yeah, so typically the deal ends after the purchase, right? The goal has been accomplished, right? The customer bought the car, they left. So after that, what are we doing in the industry to communicate and build that relationship long-term that's going to have an impact, that's going to create that bond between the owner and the dealership? Because when you think about it, there's all these different steps where we need to be communicating with that customer, right? And that's going to create, it's right communication, right customer at the right time. And if we do that effectively, then it's a lot more cost effective for the dealership, because think about it just on email communication, right? If you have a good relationship with your customer and you send them an email, they're going to consume that information, right? Anything, communicating with that customer is going to be a lot more inexpensive and effective.
I think inexpensive is a big word. Obviously we're here in Vegas because we were speaking at the Rockstar conference that took place today. And it was one of the things that I talked about was the expense structure, right? How it goes in dealerships. And like we talked about before we went on air, there's always this concern about the acquisition of today's new customer. But we've acquired all of these customers over months and months and years, and they kind of just get here. Erik, from your perspective, when you were selling cars, did you make it your business to communicate with people you sold the car to on your behalf, regardless of what the dealership was or was not doing? Or did you rely on the dealership to have communication with your customers?
No, I made it the point. Whenever I sold the car, I always referred to it as they got the show, meaning that when somebody showed up, they got me. They paid the most, but I sold perception. Perception always paid the most. I do want to talk about service, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Would that be
The
okay?
level of it?
No.
No.
I want to talk about
Okay.
the service department as a
Okay,
whole,
I wasn't sure where you were headed with
as a
it.
complete opportunity.
Okay.
And this
Yeah.
is how I've seen it. I read a book in 2001 somewhere. I just got into finance. I read a book by Sam Walton talking about Walmart is literally just a wholesale distribution center. That's all they are. They don't sell not one single product. They're a wholesale distribution center.
Yeah.
So after getting done reading the book, and I had this, breakthrough of thought about, actual car manufacturers, the ones that actually sell the vehicle, dealerships get to service those clients. Okay, that is really the concept that I wholeheartedly believe in. Having said that, I think that the opportunity to gain, for dealerships to be able to gain the customers back by the customers they already have they're already spending the money. They already spend they have ad budget they're already spending. If they were to take and shift those dollars and spend it back on the public that they already have, on the service department customers they already have, and say, listen, great news, just wanted to give you a heads up, you actually qualified for a free oil service. You come, you get one tire, you buy 3, something of that effect. If the dealerships could ever do the mental shift of actually spending their money with the consumer directly, not only would that generate the word of mouth concept,
Right.
which
social
would be,
media stuff,
so
right?
it would blow up. They would stand out. I feel as compared to everybody else. That's I've been thinking about that for quite some time and believing it wholeheartedly. We need to how dealerships gain the clientele back is just to service the consumer. It's all about the customer. It's all about the customer. If you can't learn how to keep what you've already been given, you lose, and deservedly so.
But I think there's a problem, right? Because I think we're so worried about the new customer that we sales over.
That's my point.
Sales over. Shake your
I
hand.
hate that shit.
See your bag. Right.
I hate it.
You should, because as a finance guy, you deal with WEOs, and then you see WEOs get dropped, right? You see customers come back and things don't get done by the customer.
Period.
And then that immediately, if a WEO isn't completed, then even Herb's communication isn't going to help us because they're already turned off because we couldn't even deliver on the promise at which was set at purchase date.
Where do dealerships get most of their profit? From the referrals.
Referrals and the
those
service
customers.
department.
Service department, right? The service
Yeah.
department? The
Yeah.
absorption rates? I mean, these are real conversations,
Yes,
right?
of where
these-
real money is made.
Correct. Or
Yeah.
somebody that the customer you already have, somebody they refer. I mean, that's where the profit center is at. We've got to get better at learning how to cleave those customers to us.
Love the one you're with, right? And keep it
Period,
forever.
bro.
That's
think
it.
about
That's
this. Just
well,
to
yeah, I was gonna
interject.
say.
So it's the old adage, right? It's a lot better and cost effective to keep the customer
Yes.
that you already have
Yes.
than it is to
Yeah.
go out into the marketplace and get new customers.
Yes.
And those service customers are not just going to come in and service
Yes.
their vehicle,
Yes.
but think about, are you even mining your service drive? Think
Correct.
about how many cars pass through that drive every single day that you could purchase. And when you think about the market itself, this is just my personal opinion, but the pie is the pie, folks. I mean, it's not getting any bigger, right? The market's going to generate what it's going to generate. So it's all about taking market share away. And, getting customers in the drive is a true way to generate new business, because
I love
those
that.
customers were not in market to purchase from you or your competitors, right? So when you can talk to them and move them into a new vehicle because it makes financial sense, maybe their car needs excessive repairs and it just doesn't balance out with the value of the vehicle. I mean, those are true opportunities to generate new car sales.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people paid attention to that. I mean, when I first started off in my job, I made sure that I drove the shuttle for 2 hours a week from 7 a.m.
Which
to
is
9
a
a.m.
great concept, right?
Right? Because
People
what-
learn about.
What am I
folks.
going to do? I'm
You
going to
think
learn about
about
where
that.
they live, where they
How
work,
they like
what they
their
hate about their
passion.
car,
Yes.
what they because they think I'm just a guy, right?
Yes.
I put on the company hat,
Yes.
I drive the car.
Yes.
They think I can say anything. This guy's not listening, but that's all we're doing is listening. So if we're paying attention, we're going to hear our customers, and I think it's even more important now, Herb, that we really get better at service because of the. Guys, I hate this word for lack of a better word, right? Disruption with the Carvanas and the leasing and all these other things. What does Carvana not have? A building to service.
Right. Correct.
What are you doing to acquire those customers post that relationship,
That's
even if
my
they don't
point.
buy from you? right? How many people come into the dealership for the first time in service? I mean, shit, you hear the numbers, right? Absorption numbers. Oh, I give away my first oil change for free, but only 60% of people cash that in. What? How? What is it about your dealership that only 60% of people want to come back and get something for free? So there's an idea that things are overpriced. Does that come up in your world that people don't want to go? Because your background is both retail, dealership, OEM stores, and then you went off on your own independent.
Right.
Do you find that people are, oh God, the dealership's it's going to be too expensive. I can go to an independent. Is that part of the communication?
Yeah, I think perception and education are part of that deal too. But think about this. So we have this word in this industry, which is we were listening today during the conference, this concept of buzzword. But we hear within the automotive industry today a lot of experience, right? Oh, you got to create an experience for your customers. But then when it comes to the specifics of that word, we're not really doing that, right? So you mentioned somebody buys a car, right? And you can give them a free service, you can give them free everything. But if that purchase was a bad experience, it's going to be a lot harder for you to get that customer to come back, even for free.
Yeah, man.
So you got to really focus on that initial touch point and take that customer not just, hey, I sold you the car, thanks, next. It's, hey, I sold you a car. Let's walk over to the service department. Let's set up your first appointment.
Yeah.
Let me introduce you to an advisor. Let me make a connection.
That was the thing at our dealership. Eric, is it a thing at yours? Post sale before they go in F&I or after is a lot more.
We're lacking on it for sure.
Okay.
I mean, obviously we can all make improvements on here, but no. Yeah, short answer.
No. But it's beneficial.
It's for
we
sure-
made our
it's
guys
for
do it,
sure
and we were
opportunity.
we were closer to 80%.
Yeah.
But there's still 20% of people that don't want something for free because they just don't care for you. It doesn't make a difference to them.
Correct.
So, Herb, when you talk about owner communication, can you talk to me a little bit about what's the word I'm looking for here? The number of times, the frequency at which you feel it necessary to communicate? Because I feel like dealers just run through their database, right? They just email blast, as I said today in the
That's
conference.
hilarious.
By the way, we're having a sale.
Yeah.
By the way, and they just blacklist you, and your emails get bounced, and everything turns to shit and spam. How do you guys go about communication, and do you have a cadence at which you do so?
Yeah, so before we talk about the frequency, I just want to point out that the number one thing you need to do is you need to understand how many communications and how many platforms you currently have that are sending communication. I can't tell you the number of times that I'm consulting with dealerships and they have 4 or 5 different platforms that they're sending communication to those owners in the same cadence, but
they're so siloed they don't even know what's
Right,
happening to them, right?
exactly, yeah.
And they're duplicate services.
They're duplicate
Some of their
services.
own
It's
fault.
the same message for the same
Yeah,
person. It's wrong.
Right, but the same thing is the problem is,
Yes.
and I know that you've got some OEM work in your background, but see, some of that's the problem, right? Because the OEM's communicating, then the dealer's communicating, and then the service director has his own campaign,
Right.
and no one's talking about it, and it's siloed. Does that mean there's a lot of duplicate? Does that have to go on? Do they have to have 4 or 5 services, or can you, in your position, say, hey, man, 1 and 4 do the same thing, get rid of them and just keep 2 and 3? Is that a part of the job?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. It's part of that consultative conversation, but it happens often. And going back to that word experience, think about this: you're a customer, you purchased a car, you have a platform like ours. Boom, you get a communication with a look and feel with an offer, and then you got 4 or 5 other communications that are going out to the same customer on that same cadence. But the feel is different, the imaging is different, the offer is different.
The message is different.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, these customers, they're all in that same cycle, getting the same communication, but it's all different. And then now these customers are getting bombarded
Right.
with all this communication, and it's like,
Right.
you gotta understand what you have and what it's doing for you, and the way that those communications are set up and going out, before you even worry about frequency, because at that point it's a losing battle.
Yeah, because frequency is already the problem, right? 'Cause
Right,
you're using
yeah.
4 tools to do the same thing. Doesn't matter how many times, it's still the same thing.
Exactly.
It's being triplicated.
And then now you see your opt-out rates go through the roof, and then you lose that opportunity to communicate to that customer in the future.
Such a value to the email address, right? And now more so probably the phone number, because you want to use text. Is that a part of where you
Yeah,
guys take
yeah.
your platforms in the text world?
Yeah.
Are you seeing that at your dealerships within your
Absolutely.
service department? They're texting
I
like
love,
people know their
I
car's
love
ready.
their program they provide because it allows me to specifically go through and see a customer that's spent a certain amount of dollars in the service department, or has a set amount of miles on the vehicle, right? That you can target those with the right message.
Right.
I mean, hey, listen,
Right.
how's that vehicle treating you when you spent $2,600, or boy, those miles they add up pretty easy, don't
Yeah.
they? I mean, it's the right kind of message with the right way to.
So you're able to hop in and do data mining from where you sit,
Yes.
basically, but you're doing it more instead of dragging the net across the bottom. You're actually you're with a harpoon out there
I
going
absolutely believe
that fish and that fish are
It's
the
the
ones I
correct
want.
kind of bullet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It only makes sense if you're going to do something. Let's give it the absolute best shot
To
as
succeed,
possible.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of dealerships, I think, forget that. I think they come in and they say, look, sold the car, service department will take care of itself, our retention is this, everything's fine. I don't believe that enough dealerships work. I mean, I said it today, salespeople, you've been selling cars for 3 years, the same dealership, and you're still taking 75 to 80% of your deals out the front door, you broke. This whole thing's jacked up, and you let your owner down, you let yourself down, you let your customers down. That shouldn't have to happen, right? Shouldn't be a part of the discussion. So, Herb, do you ever see, because I tried to really push this on my guys when I was at stores, do you ever see service advisors kind of taking the salesman mentality like, these are my customers. This is my service department, this customer to come see me. Is that a thing that you, because I know you're in store, so is that a thing you see?
That's a great
Yeah.
question.
Here's what kind of blows my mind a little bit. When you really think about it, the service advisor has a better relationship with the customer than the salesperson.
For
that
sure.
sold them the car.
Agreed. That's
For
why
sure.
I asked.
Right?
Yeah.
sure.
They're seeing that customer all the time.
For sure.
All the time.
That they know that
They've
person's
been there for
name, their
years.
kids,
Yeah,
their
dogs,
their
whatever,
pets.
the Subarus,
Yeah.
whatever, right? Yeah.
Yet they're not utilized at all. Only the it's either the top service advisors
Yeah,
are
we're talking 1% stuff, they'll do us
Right.
any good, right?
or the top salespeople. But think about this: how many times have you gone into a dealership and you see the golf cart in the front of the store and everybody's on that golf cart?
Yeah, smoking
You know,
cigarettes,
smoking cigarettes,
being on
texting
their phones,
people.
whatever.
If it were me, I'd be in the service. Everybody in the service drive, they'd be my buddies.
I live in the service drive.
Yeah,
I live in the
and
service
I'd be talking to them every time a car comes through there that has 50,000 miles or more. I want to know about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You bet, bud.
But it's such a leak. It's such a hole in the whole process that it just kind of blows my mind a little bit.
I think it's on both sides, right? I don't think salespeople pay enough attention to the drive, but I also don't think advisors pay enough
Yeah.
attention to the opportunity in front of them.
True.
I think if they made it their customer, I always get frustrated, right? Half deals, bullshit like that. I think if a service advisor, if Erik was my guy, and Erik came in and saw Herb one day, I'd be like, what happened here?
Right.
You know, was it my day off? Did I do something wrong? You know, because I feel like if you can build enough personal rapport, and I think car repair is about as personal as it gets because there's a lot that needs to be covered here in this discussion when the car is broken or how it works, communication style. So I think we can do a much better job. Erik, when you were a sales guy, did you love the service drive? Was that something Erik worked, or is Erik looking back on his career going, wish I would have?
The service drive.
Okay.
Only because it as a salesperson, you have so much time with your thumb up your ass, not doing anything as it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair
I
enough.
mean, if you come in and you're on point and you knock out the necessary tasks that you how you start your day correctly, right? You knock those tasks out. Well, for the rest of your time, you're waiting for the next joker to show up on the lot.
Correct.
So, the service drive was always my spot, man. I just pay attention, because it's easy to be able to approach somebody and say, listen, you're stuck here with me anyways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's go drive something brand spanking new. You know what I mean? And I make it just as vanilla as that. Because I know if I'm in a conversation on the drive, you know, I'm not saying anything. We're just driving. Hey, look, well, are you trying to say, I'm not trying to say you nothing, man. I just want I want to get your opinion on what you think of this rig right here. Which one do you want to drive? Let's drive the Vet. Man, let's go. I'll race you. The reality is you get inside the vehicle. If that customer brings up a question about anything, that's a buying question. I've got some movement. Okay, so the service customers for sure is the opportunity. I want to state also something is that if for all this time that the salespeople have off, if they would take their little cell phone and do a video of the service advisor inside the service department, okay, and just elevate their platform, it would elevate the dealership, right? It would have a actual person. There would be no friction between the sales staff and the service advisor.
Look what
at
you
that
do.
point.
Look at what was the one with the detail kit?
For sure.
Where you
You
walk
just have
in
to-
and you're
you
like,
have to
look, this
introduce-
is what this kid
this
does.
is the people that I work with.
Right.
That stuff's important.
Right. Yeah. It's important to the
stuff's
community.
important.
For sure.
This is why I feel it's who was talking about doing in the hiring process. Get the 3 videos. Who brought that up on stage? Who talked about that on stage? Doesn't matter. My point is that sales is really it's confidence, it's comfort. It's getting somebody on camera initially as part of the hiring process is a great move because people are uncomfortable as it is. To be able to have somebody that's comfortable on camera, well, listen, they already have a sense of confidence already walking in the situation. That's much more appealing than somebody that's not comfortable getting on camera because that's just where the industry's headed.
We're headed, right? So that's what I was going to say. So
Yes.
when we look at video, how does it play into what you do with owner communication? Do you guys are you starting to put more kind of not more emphasis on the idea of, hey, dealers, if you had videos and we communicate with people, like, is that a part of what you guys try to send out content-wise, or?
Yeah, so yes. To short answer to your question, there's opportunities to put video on the communications that are going out, so we can definitely do that. But I think that there's just different. Video is so impactful right now that there's different ways that you can use it in the drive and as a salesperson. So, for example, let's say that your car is getting repaired. Why not send the customer a quick video and show them, right? Hey, listen, this is what you need.
Powerful.
Here, take a look at this video with the stuff.
Crazy awesome.
Yeah,
crazy
Or
awesome.
if you're a salesperson and you get a internet lead, why not send that customer, in this day and age, a video instead of an email that they're going to get from everybody else?
Because there's so many companies out there too, right? There's so many vendors offering that in our space. And that's what happens now, right? Vendors create technology to bring to us to see if it'll float. And that's what it is.
I mean, I don't know if we're trying to promote video, but
We're not, but if
my
it comes
point
up,
is
I have
that
no problem with that.
having somebody awkward, sweating, and organic on the video, talking to a customer is comfortable. Not for you, but for the customer.
Correct.
And that's where the war is won, man.
And it's
with the
okay to
customer.
have grainy video.
For
It's
sure.
okay to have unedited.
It's
okay
encouraged.
to, right? Like
Yes.
it doesn't need to be perfect. Like I said
Please,
today,
stop with
admit
the
your
perfect
mistakes.
stuff.
It's okay.
Yes.
This is life. If life were perfect, we wouldn't be sitting here because we wouldn't have to. Everything would be perfect, and it's just not how it works. So because you utilize this product, so this isn't like we're sitting here. What Herb's talking about, you use at a dealership level. What do you think that dealers aren't doing with the data in front of them? Because you have it all at your fingertips. Do you think it's
They
lazy?
don't know how to read it.
Are you,
They don't
so
know.
not that they don't know how to
it's-
read. You're
it's-
not criticizing that way. You're just saying
It's so much
Bunch of
information
illiterates.
coming
I
in.
don't even know what I wrote down.
It's so much information coming in.
Yeah,
You don't really know what it is that you're looking for.
gotcha. So in the same way that we deal with analytics for dealers and deal with all the vendors and all that data because they have
For
no
sure.
idea,
For sure.
you do the same. That's what you're
It's
saying.
just
is
it's
the
an
same.
age thing, man.
Yeah.
We're old farts.
Come
just,
on now.
yeah.
That's fine.
Hey,
Come
look, man.
on now,
I'm
man.
sorry, I used the word fart there. I apologize.
Yes.
The
Swore 3
reality
times. That's why I love this guy because it's just like I'm worried about A when I probably should have been worried about X, but that's how I am. I don't even go back and apologize. So I'm glad you did it because I don't really care.
I know this.
Yeah.
I feel better.
Yeah, well, that's all I care about. That's all I want
I
you to
hope
do is
so.
feel better. It is.
It's why I showed
That's
up.
it. So it is why you showed up. But when you talk about, so you think it's a matter of it's too much at once. There's not enough explanation being given. You're not saying from Herb's company, but in general,
Exactly.
the companies out there, the training, etc.
Or could it be too much too, right? I mean, is there
That's a great point.
and what do
Is it
you
overload?
do?
That's a great point.
And what do you do with all like how do you siphon?
You got all this data. If like that cat that showed the dude on stage, if you were to show me a graph that was like doing this with all the lines going through it, I'd be like, boy, what is that?
Right.
Because I have no idea what
Right.
that was.
Right. And so it's information overload,
Yes,
right? There's
yeah.
nothing actionable about
Yes.
these dashboards. I fucking
Yes.
hate dashboards. I'm sorry. I try not to swear on this one, but I hate them. I
Right.
absolutely. No one logs into them. Okay. You look at the usability studies on these things. No one cares. No one goes in there. But when they do, it's just vomit. It's data vomit. It's
Yes.
all over the screen.
Yes.
There's nothing actionable. So how do we, Herb, as dealers who, let's just say your tool or anyone else's, how do we make what we're looking at actionable? Is it about a plan before we go in there? Because I always joke that if you're going to go into Google Analytics, you better have a Sherpa with you. Because if you don't, you're going to get lost.
Right.
And you're going to get scared, and then you're going to either fire or make a bad decision based on data you don't really know. So Herb, how can we make it actionable?
Well, I mean, it depends on the strategy, right? It depends what you want to do. An example that just comes to mind. Let's say that your strategy is for equity mining, right?
Okay.
And let's say that you want to do something with that data. Well, you could put a plan in place where You find those customers, or you're monitoring those customers as they come through the drive or as they come through the data, right? Hey, all these customers qualify for, they're in a positive equity position. And then you put a strategy in place for those folks. Why use the salesperson for equity mining? Why not use your service advisor and cut them into the deal? Be like, hey, if you get any of those customers to come in, you have a better relationship with that customer and the salesperson, right? So why don't you communicate to this list of customers and call these customers up and be like, hey, Mr. Jones, I just wanted to call you and let you know that you're in a positive equity position. There's an opportunity for you to get into a newer car for less than what you're currently paying right now.
Herb, I take it at the next appointment. I don't even need you to go above and beyond and call the guy when he's not here. Next time this cat right here is on your schedule for an oil change, I need you to try and see if you can acquire his car.
Yeah, or at least get him to do a test drive.
Oh, so Sean, I don't sell cars. I didn't say sell a car. I said acquire a car. Well, why would I want to get a car? Because, dude, if we take his trade, what is he going to drive?
Right.
The reason I don't bring up selling you a car in the equity mining discussion is because I don't care about you buying a car. I care about buying your car. Because ultimately, unless you're leaving the country or you've decided to live in the city and not have one, you're going to have to acquire a vehicle. And why would you give it to me if you weren't actually at some level considering my car, right? So that's really the crux of it, right? I love this idea of this service. You ever thought about that?
I'm now considering it.
Yeah.
I honestly think the service department needs to be moved to the front of the dealership. I think sales needs to be
more.
Sales needs to be.
Agreed. That I can agree to.
Sales
the front
needs to be
end,
the residual effect of great service. That's ultimately how I feel about it.
Could you imagine running a dealership where
I'm
it's
not
like,
even- I'm not
service
even
cars
kidding.
first, sell them second, folks. We're not interested,
I'm sorry.
right?
I understand service is not as pimp as great tuxedos and all that stuff, and I know there's no bragging
dirty
about
work,
service. But the reality is, it's the only way that dealerships are going to remain viable going into the future. Plain and simple.
Okay.
And it just
You don't figure out the service part?
Might
You're
as well close them up.
And honestly, I can't state this enough. You fucking deserve it, man.
Right.
And the long-term impact positively to that when your retention, and I'm talking retention of customers coming back for service, but retaining your customers, keeping those customers come back.
That's the reason why you started.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if you did it right, if you wanted to do it right to begin with, it's about taking care of the customer, for Christ's sake.
Right, and if you're
That's
taking,
the best way to
but
do
if you're
it.
taking care of the customer, that means being there when they need you and not bothering them when they don't, right? And that goes back to what, because we never followed up on frequency, because you made good points there, but I want to come back to it. What is the frequency? Is there a general? I know you said strategy. I'm not trying to skip ahead, but let's assume the strategy is an equity mining deal. How do you go about frequency? What do you recommend as 30,000 foot view best practices?
Well,
for frequency?
yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, when you think about after the sale, then this customer has entered. They talk about this purchasing decision or the purchasing journey, and it's mapped
Sales
out.
funnel, all these other things, right?
But nobody talks about the ownership journey.
I don't think I've ever seen a post-sale journey, because you've seen Road to the Sale, right? I mean, we've all seen it. There's 12 steps to get here, and then there's this thank you sign at the end of the road for sale, and that's
we're
it.
done.
Yeah.
Like, hey, look, man, they're gone.
It's over.
Let's celebrate.
Yeah, high five. We sold the car, but what we've done, to Herb's point, is we've missed out. I don't want to get sidetracked, Herb. Continue with frequency.
Yeah, we got to set those customers on a cadence, right? So, every 5 months or every 5,000 miles, depending on whatever the recommendations are from your manufacturer, those customers should get their reminders. Hey, what's due at 5,000 miles after the purchase? Is it a rotation and a multi-point inspection? Is it an oil change? And make sure that we're sending those customers that information. Think about that. If you get those customers on that routine of getting that communication when it's right, when it's due, with something that says factory recommended service. Hey, you're due for your factory recommended service. And they get used to reading that communication and getting those reminders. Think about the impact of email communication, which is super cheap. Once you have that email of that customer and you've gotten that customer accustomed to looking at your information, now when you're looking at equity mining, as soon as they hit 30, 50,000 miles, whatever the case is,
It's just a natural thing.
then you send them an email. What are the likelihood that the customer is going to open that email and
great.
consume that information?
That's great.
How much money is that going to save
That's
you?
great.
You bring up email a lot, and I'm not trying to go over the top of that, but I'm asking, is text coming up on that? Are you starting to see a shift in that world? Because, I mean, look, I heard that, what was the stat? 10% of emails get opened, 90% of texts get looked at.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something that plays into how you train, what you talk about moving forward?
Yeah, so text is definitely a big part of that. It's becoming more and more prevalent. But there's some restrictions to text still, and like if you look at places like California, it's super difficult to send text communication. But then with Erik, we can do text communication in Utah, we don't have any issues.
Right.
So
because they already opted in, right? If they're in your
Right.
database, the opt-in has already occurred, so I don't need to get a secondary one to send a text.
As long as that whole part is taken care of, the legality of it is in place.
I'm not a lawyer, so I'm gonna.
Then text-wise, it's way more effective than email.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Super.
So
more
your
effective.
point is, if available, you
Yes.
should probably be texting everyone
Absolutely.
as much as possible. Because I say on the sales side that if you have a customer who you text, right, you text a price to them, or you say, "Are you interested in this car? I got your information." They text, "Not interested," opt out, or they opt out of the first text, and you have a general idea, not an exact idea of who they are, but it's general. Same can be said there. Erik, when you look at the tool, now we're coming. You guys don't know this, but we're coming up in like 40 minutes, so I'm gonna bring my way to the end of this. But when you look at things, when you look at the way you're going about your job every single day, how has this tool impacted Erik's job in a positive, and is there any drawbacks? Because we talked about this earlier. I mean, we talked about it's okay to admit fault. Are there any issues that you see?
No, none whatsoever. I love the fact that we take and implement some of. I do a dirty trade walk around video for my Facebook podium, my Facebook group.
What does that mean?
It means that whenever we get a fresh trade that comes in, and I think the market will accept it, I do a walk around on that vehicle talking about it. I don't ever talk about the price. Maybe I'll mention the miles, but for the most part, I just want it to be a snapshot of something fresh that's just showing up. My gosh, hurry up, get here fast. I sent a series of that to his company, and he does a series of 3 that puts it on the dealership's Facebook posting. I mean, we just got to get smart about this deal.
Sure.
And texting, as far as texting is concerned, I don't care what state you're in and what bylaws you have. If you have a text coming from a salesman, it doesn't necessarily. I always tell folks, texting especially, because not everybody will read their email, but they'll always respond to a text. It's a beautiful thing. I love it, right?
Sure.
So even if you just take a picture of a car and text it to the customer, don't say another word. Just send the picture of the vehicle. Just send the vehicle to the customer.
Yeah.
The whole conversation comes up in their head. Where they're at, they'll let you know. You can start a conversation. I used to hit folks all the time with "great day, great day." I've forever said "great day," not who I am, not what I'm about.
Dude, I get those texts personally from you.
Well, I have a problem.
Well, you do. The guy's got a
I
texting
wake up
motivation
way
problem.
too early.
Yeah,
okay, and I'm fired up about being alive, man.
I'm looking at my clock in the Midwest. I'm like, dude, I got this text from this cat at like 5 in the morning. This guy lives in Utah.
I wake up at 4
every
every day, whether I want to or not. Sometimes it's 3:30.
The dedication to it, though, bro, that's what we're talking about.
Yes.
The dedication to that is incredible. And so I love this idea of the blank text, just the car.
Yeah,
That's it.
Here you go.
I said, there's no mystery about why you're contacting them.
Right, so here's a
There's
car.
no mystery.
So the customer sits there, looks at his phone like, what am I
it
supposed
does?
to say? Like, is it
I remember
gonna-
that car and where it came from. And they respond to it. No thanks. Oh yeah, hey listen, we are planning a call. They'll respond to it every single
Because
time.
they submitted the lead on that car.
It works,
Even if they
bro.
looked at 10 of them, you know.
I'm giving
Are
you
you
genius
using it?
stuff here,
But hold
man.
on. You're giving out genius ideas, but have they been done?
What do you mean?
Is this what your salespeople do?
Yeah.
What you're saying?
For sure, absolutely.
Okay, all right. Because I mean, you gotta love theory, but I also love results.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes the
you
sales
do
staff
it.
get so caught up into
Themselves.
word scripts and having to cut on a couple.
Do you have a BDC? Your small store,
just,
so no.
Just no
No.
BDC. We do have an internet manager, and she does a phenomenal job for us. But we I guess
Is she the number one communication as far as that goes?
She's our number one across the board. She's wonderful.
But she's your customer's first interaction with your dealership comes through her.
Yes.
And you find that to be probably the most important thing up until we get to service.
Yes.
But up until then, right? That's the person you want in that position. Do you find the same has to be said on the back half for the service department? That whoever's about to take over this customer better have or be at the level that this girl's at. Otherwise, we're gonna kind of drop the ball.
Well, let me tell you where we're at with our dealership. Okay, our service manager came down to Vegas for training on new ideas and a dealer 20 group, and he came back home with some phenomenal ideas, wanting to get me involved in doing videos for him and whatnot, and helping him. I mean, he's excited, and brother, if he's excited, I'm excited
God knows
too.
you're excited.
God
knows this one's excited. This one is unstoppable.
You wear me
sometimes.
out. Let's go. Let's do it. So I mean, there's definitely a field to play, and it's new ground, and it's you can make some huge leaps and gains from a dealership aspect. I mean,
Quickly,
absorption
can't you?
rate. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah.
Absorption rates. That's the only reason why dealerships get bought these days. You know, the absorption rates. It's definitely a factor. It's the way to gain ground.
Right, and market
Gain
share
ground.
and all that other stuff, and
Period,
looking at all of it,
dude.
seeing your
Period.
returns. Herb, when you sit with a dealer and you go through your consultation, as you say, how deep do you go into it? Are you looking at current communications? Are you looking at emails? Are you showing examples? Like, as you go through an, let's for lack of a better word, audit, how do you go about that from your position as an account executive?
Yeah, so I go as deep as the dealer allows me to go, because sometimes what
Okay.
happens during those conversations is you start to uncover a lot of things
Wow.
that they're kind of thrown back by that, and they're like, hey man, this guy's maybe uncovering a little bit too much than I'm comfortable to admit to myself.
Sure.
And after, I was a service manager, so I know the job. It's a very, very difficult job in the sense that there's a lot. I mean, you're a trainer,
Yes.
you're a controller, you gotta walk your shop. I mean, there's so much.
You got
stuff
OSHA.
going-
I mean, there's some of
There's
you we
so
got to
much.
answer to that aren't the people I got to answer to up front. I don't answer to anybody
Yeah, and
except for
then
the owner.
and then when you go to these stores that are doing 3,000-5,000 ROs a month, I mean, that's a lot of stuff. So
Dude,
it's
crazy.
yeah, it's very easy for some of that stuff to pile up or to kind of put back in the back burner. But so as deep as they allow me to go, I like to help, and I know some of the stuff that you can uncover just by having conversations and doing a little bit of digging, and
And your passion is service. I mean, that really
Yeah,
it comes
Well,
to
that's
it,
what I was
right?
about to say to you.
It
Like,
really
I
is.
know that you have passion for
Yeah.
life in general, and
Yeah.
you have passion for the car business. I have
Yeah.
passion for the car business and slightly life.
I take so many pills.
But
bro.
do you really, bro? Like just like ginseng and shit? Like what, like fish milk? Like what kind of pills are you talking about, dude? Because you said before we came on you don't drink.
I don't do it. I take too many pills.
All right, I'm gonna leave you at pills, dude. I don't want to get too far into it. I don't get anybody in trouble. For me, someone that I never sat in service. It was never part of. I've sat every other job there is, but I never went to the back half. Your passion for your job, your passion for service. When I first brought this idea to you, you immediately just came back with fixed ops, and I thought to myself, this guy works for a marketing company. Again, visually, right? What we see on our LinkedIn profiles,
Right.
etc. This guy works for a
Yeah.
marketing company. That's what he does.
Yeah.
But then to sit and to have pre-show discussions with you about where you want to go and how you want to do it, and the fact that you see so much value from a dealership perspective being just wasted, right? That's why we started Car Biz. I watched dealers waste hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars on marketing, and I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't watch it anymore because it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary, A, because most digital marketing out there is bullshit, but more importantly, it's not even as important because of your department. Because if we stopped, to your point, to kind of bring it back full circle, if we took that money and we said, hey, let's put half back into the people we already have, and then we'll take half and worry about acquisition. Because if you do acquisition right, you don't need all the money you're spending. I got news for you. I've done it across the country
You're
for
already
years.
spending the money. It's not like you have to find new monies. You're already
And we
spending
have a
the
rule
money.
at Car Biz, we don't ask for new money.
Period.
So if someone says, I want to sign up for a new vendor,
You already have the cash.
we look at
man.
the owner dead in the eye, we say, owner, no problem. We get you on a new vendor. Which one you want to get rid of? How you want it? No, I'm just going to add it. Nope. Now I have one client who just doesn't care. He just continues to spend. He's the only guy in my stable that just spends more than from the day he met me. It's just really frustrating some days.
Wow.
But it's because that's his mentality.
Right.
That's who he is. That's fine. But for me, that doesn't work. Because if I invested back in my people, I think I would be better off.
For
Do
sure.
you at your store do like customer appreciation, service appreciation? Do you guys do anything
We
like
do. I mean, well, look, it's not as much as it could be.
Okay.
Right. But yeah, we do a lot of appreciation. We have a great event that happens every August where we donate We take in donations. We auction off a lot of products. We take those proceeds and give it to a family, to a local family.
Awesome.
I mean, it's incredible.
That's
you
awesome.
know what I'm saying? That's incredible.
And you share it socially. You get all
Of
that stuff
course.
involved,
I mean,
right?
the
We're not looking.
turnout
And
is
people.
huge, too.
Let me be clear
huge.
about it. People aren't looking. Eric doesn't post that stuff because he's looking for accolades. Okay, he's not posting because he's looking for attention. He's posting because it's important to him and his community.
Yeah.
Because I'm really getting
We were
tired of the
talking about
negativity
dealership.
out there with people coming out being like, "Oh, self-serving, just showing things
This
off."
dealership's been there since 1931. They deserve to be acknowledged for doing it right for
In
so
their
long.
community.
Allowed
Absolutely.
to be able to do it for so long.
And think about how much of the microeconomy exists in your area because of your dealership being there for as long
For
as it
sure.
has. It pays the most taxes. It employs the most people. It does all of the things the community would want out of its best person, and we do it day in and day out. Yet there's this black eye of the industry that we've talked about. And I think there's way more of a black eye on the front half in sales than there is anything to do with service. I think people just assume that if it's coming from the guy they bought their car from, it's too expensive.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Absolutely.
How do you overcome that? From a service manager perspective, how do you overcome price objection?
During purchase?
No, at service. So you mean as purchase of service?
Right.
Yes. So someone comes to you and they say, "Oh, that I can get it done at the independent for $100 less."
Well, I mean, I always talk to my customers about this. We don't have to, because if you look at the way that we're communicating to customers about service offers right now, actually, Erik did the same thing when we first talked. It was like, "Oh no, let's give them an oil change for free," and I was like, "No, man, you don't have to give the customer anything for free. They understand that this is a business, right?" But what you need to talk to them about is the things that you're going to do beyond the purchase or the cost of that service. Can you give that customer their time back, right? Something so simple like, "Hey, can you pick them up? Can you drop them off?
Yes.
Can you, if they're going to spend an hour and a half with you in your showroom, what are you going to do for them that the independent can't do?"
Yes.
Do you offer? I have stores that do massages and manicures and burrito Tuesdays or whatever.
Loaner cars to some
Yeah.
extent. I mean, it's
Yes.
still a thing.
Can you give them a loaner car? Maybe you have some sort of service.
I mean, your manufacturer's forcing you to buy them anyways. You might as well just give them out to people and let them use it. I mean, that's the end of the day on that.
We don't have to have this mentality of, "Hey, let's lose money to get this customer."
I don't think it's.
But let's-
my contention is I don't think it's losing money. I think it's just showing appreciation. I mean,
No, and I get that, and there's certain instances where that makes sense. But the point is that it doesn't have to. If somebody comes in and they're like, "Hey, I got this coupon for $29.99 at down the street." Yeah, but is that person down the street going to wash your car? Are they going to go take you to work and pick you up? Are they going to top off your fluids and rotate your tires or whatever it is that you're doing that's extra? It's very hard to compete with the dealerships when you think about it on the service level because there's just so much more that they can do.
So, honest question, because I don't know the answer to this, but I hear it all the time. When it comes to, you just said about OEM parts, is it true independents can't get them if they're not an OEM dealer? Like, are they using lesser parts to fix the same car? Like, is that a pitch or is that a reality?
No, in some cases, I mean, just like anything else, there's the factory parts and there's aftermarket stuff that you can purchase, but as a consumer now, taking the service aspect out of it,
Please.
like I'd rather have my parts original, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I've never not, and I've grown up in the car business, but I've never not gone to a dealership. My parents have never not gone to the independent. And it's one of these really weird relationships that my dad will take my mom's old car to the independent, but he takes the new car to the OEM.
The key word there is relationship, right?
He knows him by name. It's
relationship.
He's independent. He knows by name. I think they have dinner by now.
If we can embrace that somehow.
But what's deeper there, and you make a good point, is when you go to the independent, who talks to you? It's not the guy at the desk. It's the mechanic.
Correct.
That's the guy that comes out. The guy that's actually working on
There's
your
no
car.
service writer, dude. It's the
Yeah.
owner and the mechanic. These guys work
Exactly.
together to get it done.
But when you go to the dealership, you have that guy in between, right? So it's like when you go to the doctor. I mean, if the receptionist is like, "Hey, we're going to, here's your prescription, this, that," and you never see the doctor, how comfortable are you going to feel? You're like, well, I want to talk to the guy, right? The guy that's actually going to be working on my car.
Right.
Well, let's talk about practicality, though. How practical is it for the actual...
Okay, but I'll stop you even right there. It just comes down to video.
Right. Or
if the mechanic's on video,
Okay.
hey Eric,
I believe
here's what I got.
FaceTime.
Here's what-
Hey, listen, this is what I'm seeing.
Right?
I totally agree with the concept.
So-
I totally agree with
but the
concept.
perception
They're
is
already there though, reviewing the car, right?
That's a great.
the perception is, or what I see, and it just sucks, man, because it's just not the right thing. But we don't give the techs, especially in today, in 2018, we don't give them the credit that they deserve. I mean, cars are not as simple as they used to be. They're a lot
You
more
ain't kidding,
complex.
man.
You got to have IT
The-
people back there.
the
You got nothing to do
training-
with fixing
that's right.
motors.
The training
That's
has to
right.
be top
Yes.
notch.
Yeah.
And we're still treating them like
Absolutely.
It's treating like dirt. It's the
Yeah,
same. It's the
man.
same
It's
point
like-
I made today. I would have said it if we were in a room of fixed ops people. My point was, salespeople and mechanics have never had the ability to do whatever they want as they do today.
Yeah.
Dealerships are begging for you to come there.
Yeah.
Mechanics. I was sitting with our owner at Zimbrick Automotive before I left, and he said, "Well, what are you going to talk about? Give me the 30-second pitch." I said, "Here's what I'm doing." He said, "Man, Dad, can you do one for me and my mechanics too? Like, I think people need to hear both stories because these mechanics, he's going to the colleges." I told him, "Why don't we just start at the high schools? You know, we all had autos. Why don't you go to the high schools, find out autos,
Yes.
put up scholarships for these kids to go to school. Start getting involved
Yes.
with the next level before they even can think about
Yes.
it. Go to that same high school and say, hey,
Let's
probably
get dirty. Come
30,
on.
30% of you probably aren't going to go to college,
Yeah.
but if you want to go to college, how about a technical college? But for you, those who don't go to college, how about a sales position at our dealership? How about the opportunity to make an income on a level
Wow.
with someone who has one?
That's great.
I don't have one. I didn't go to college. I spent 10 minutes in college walking from one side to the other to get back in my demo, and I left. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, I had a car. I had a demo at 18.
Yeah.
Going to college was like, people say, go to college and make money. I was like, oh, I'm kind of already doing that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the point is.
Right.
But I want people to know there's opportunity. So let's tie this up. As you guys know, I told you pre-show, I like to get in and give takeaways. I'm going to start it off with my takeaways, and I have two. One you just said, and I hope I'm not stealing people's thunder, but, you know, it's my show. So
Yeah, we should be allowed to go first.
I know, isn't that weird? But I'm not going to do this. That's not how I do it. I haven't done it to this point. I'm not going to do it now. All right?
I want to go ahead and file a grievance.
Yeah, you can file a grievance. HR is right behind you. Yeah, you let HR know. Yeah, he got you. Yeah. Oh, no, this way. This way. This way. So here are mine. Number one, the touch points and the numerous vendors with those touch points. How many actual communications are going out? I think that's supremely valuable. People need to hear that. Dealers, you know who you are. You have multiple services running right now. Let Herb save you some money. Let him get involved, get to show you what's wrong. He has passion and knowledge. It's really all that we need. And my second and final one is we do not have to give away things for free. My organization does not do it. We don't believe in it. We never have. People say, Sean, yeah, give me a free audit. Pass. What happens when I get something for free? It's always,
no value.
I always go back to it in my head. What happens when I get something for free? Typically, it sucks. You ever gotten a free vacation voucher?
Well, I had to win something to get it. I mean,
Did you ever go on it?
yes,
And?
it was fabulous.
No, it wasn't.
Okay,
Yeah.
Was it?
I'm so sorry.
Was it or was it
It
not?
sucked.
I'm lying now. Was it? That
I
was
had a
fabulous?
ball,
Okay.
dude.
All right, so
I
you
went and saw
brought
my beloved
Yeah.
Seahawks. I mean,
God, I'm wrong guy.
Hey,
This is so honest. I wish you.
Let's try it again. Let's do a second take.
There are no second takes. It's
Oh,
only
man,
one
this
take.
dude,
All right.
it
So
was
because of
terrible.
you and your excitement, what are your takeaways, Eric? What do the dealers have to know about today? And don't feel compelled to do two. I know I put a lot of pressure on you.
No, the takeaway is that you have to figure out how to gain your ground back, because in this industry where the manufacturers are going to start leaning on you to produce, and you're already giving stuff away, losing money to do it, you have to learn how to keep what you already have. You've been gifted with customers. You better figure out how to keep them, or they will go away as well. Deservedly so. That's my takeaway.
Thank you. And Herb, close the show. Tell us what we got to make sure everyone knows from what you said today.
So the main thing for me is think about this. And I really, really encourage you to do this exercise. Go into your DMS and see how many customers you have in there. And if you have more than 5,000 customers, think about the value that you have right there without even having to go and get a new customer. Because you're not going to tell me that all 5,000 customers, 10,000, in some cases I see stores with 30, 60,000 people in their DMS. You're going to tell me that those customers, you can't produce, it's not cheaper for you, it's not more cost effective, it's not more impactful for you to market to those customers and get those customers in. You're going to tell me that it's better for you to go out there into the marketplace and grind it out with everybody else to get one customer. I mean, if you're paying attention to that, You're going to have customers in there that are going to be in equity position. You're going to have customers in there that are going to have, 100, 150,000 mile vehicles, 50,000, 60,000. Can those customers benefit from a test drive? Can those customers benefit from buying a new car?
Do they know of anybody?
I mean,
but even if they can't, right? In the referral side, but even if they can't, just servicing and being there for those people at that time is important, man. Because that time sucks.
It's the game.
Your car breaks.
It's the game.
Sucks.
It's the game.
And act like you gave a shit when they show up and their car breaks.
What?
Yeah.
Wait.
Is that
what?
Well, I know. That's my goal.
Okay.
Is that right?
For sure.
Okay. I'm right. You had me going. I didn't know he's gonna take me back. So, anything else to add to that, Herb?
Yeah.
You exercise, go through it, see it.
Yeah. So make sure pay attention to that and create some strategies to talk to those folks and show those folks love and let them know that you appreciate their business. They already said yes to you. They purchased from you.
I agree.
They're buying from you.
Should we stand or do you think this I think we should. Great job.
All right.
Great job, Herb. That's gonna screw up the camera. This camera's all jacked up. Sorry, guys, but we had to do it. All right. Thank you guys so much for being on the show. This was awesome. The Car Biz Chronicles are all about dealers and vendors educating together, and I think you guys did an absolutely phenomenal job. I really appreciate you having me on. Erik, thanks a lot, man.
So
Herb, thanks a lot.
Thanks.
And dealers, everyone who joined us, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you join us again next time. Have a great day.